After analyzing dozens of Skool communities that have completely crashed and burned or are starting to crash and burn, and also a couple of mine that didn't quite work out and I had to learn the hard way, I've realized that most don't necessarily fail because of a lack of engagement. That can be a leading cause for some communities, depending on what they're doing. But there's normally other symptoms that cause that lack of engagement. And some communities that don't have high engagement are actually making great money still. They're more of a funnel than a community. So in this video, I'm going to break down 4 of the main reasons that I see communities not working out in the long term, especially after about 90 days, they start to go down. So they may start off well initially, but then the momentum will just gradually disappear and it just won't work out. So the first one that we come to is that I've noticed that many people, and one of the leading causes of people churning out of communities is overwhelm. And I actually spoke to someone once and they had over 20 courses inside their Skool community. So their course classroom area was just a library of content, most of it free. And that led to them having huge amounts of lessons in here. And that led to a lot of overwhelm. So people coming in there and just being overwhelmed and not knowing where to start. A bit of confusion in terms of the direction and where they should go, what way they should do things. And all you're doing is adding more and more information to people. And what it worked out was that they were getting lots of signups because people love the idea of getting a huge amount of content for free. But then those people would come inside and do nothing. They would just be dead. They wouldn't engage at all. They wouldn't be active. Maybe they'd start doing a bit of a course, but after a week, they just stopped coming back. And what happens is, and I've noticed this with online courses, especially free ones, is that when you give a lot away for free, people like the idea of having it, and it becomes this sort of tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow sort of mentality, especially where there's a lot of it. You actually slow them down and they lose momentum. So it's overwhelm and it's also losing momentum or thinking that they'll come back and do it. But the average course completion rate for free courses is actually below 10%. I think paid courses is around 15%. So most people are not going to do the courses anyways. So there's no point in giving huge amounts of content away to people and having this complete library of stuff inside, especially free. And I also would say that it's just better not to have too much stuff in there. Simplify, so that even if it was stuff that you were giving and people were paying for, if it's a subscription model and people feel like they're not getting the value out of it or they're not able to do it, which as we know with completion rates, they're not going to, then there's a good chance that they're going to churn and they're going to leave if it was a paid community or they had originally upgraded. So if people don't feel like they're getting the benefit out of it, then they're going to leave. So we really don't want to make our Skool community into a library, a course library. This is not Thinkific or some other platform like that. The idea is that it's community first and we want to flow people through and keep people as active as possible if it's that type of community and have a clear client flow. You want to make sure that from start to finish, the flow is as quickly as possible. The idea is to get people to become a paying client as quickly as possible. Some people obviously take longer. Some people come straight inside, book a call or buy your product and want to work with you right away, especially if you're using platforms like YouTube and so on. They maybe already know, like, and trust you. So we want to have a clear flow to things and we don't want to slow people down. So generally, I feel that just sort of three things inside maximum. Keep it nice and clean. Keep it that it all makes sense and it's on point and the messaging is congruent. And yeah, I find that just works better. So simplify your classroom area and simplify your community and the message that you've got inside. So if you're trying to do too many things inside that one community, it may be a good opportunity for you to look at it and just start cutting things out and focusing on one particular area, at least to begin, and seeing how that goes. So you've got a clear intent behind everybody working towards that one particular goal. The next one is that you've got no clear day one win for people. So what do I mean by a win? So a win could be you getting someone a result right away. So that could be you getting them a result of some kind for what it is you're actually promising to them. So perhaps if I was doing weight loss, maybe I gave you some tricks on how you could actually lose a certain amount of weight within the first 7 days. It's going to be similar stuff that you might do on your YouTube channel, but it's stuff that you know is going to get them a tangible result really quickly. And that can also be a mindset shift. Some of the most powerful results and wins that we can get for people is not a physical thing. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be losing weight. It can actually be a mindset shift, a belief shift. And those are sometimes some of the most powerful. So if you can shift someone's mindset so that they can gain momentum and move on to the next stage, or that they believe something is actually going to work for them, that can be enough. Because most people don't take action out of the fact that they don't think it's going to work for them, or maybe it's not the right decision, they're not the right thing. But once people make a decision to do something, then they start moving forward and they gain momentum. So the mindset shift can be enough. Or it could also be a template that it's something that they can set up or use that's going to immediately save them time and get them a result of some kind. I think these two are probably going to be the best two for a community setup, or it could be a combination of them. But again, let's not try and get them to do too many things. Mini wins so that they are ready for the next step. We don't want to slow people down. Otherwise, we fall into trap number 1 again, and suddenly they're not taking action, and it's the tomorrow mentality again. So we want to make sure as many people that come into the community are getting a mini win, but they are still taking action with that as well. Number 3 is that they don't have enough traffic. Now, even if you've got a very active community and churn is very low, I've noticed this. I actually was changing niche in my community recently within this year, and I stopped letting people in for quite a long time, or I was incredibly selective. I'm still very selective now, but I really didn't let very many people in. So there's no new blood coming in. And although the old members were still very active and so on, you actually do need new blood coming in, because what happens is we think because we're active in the community all the time, that so are other members. But you have to remember these are all real people, and life gets in the way. Some of them may get busy with other things. They may get a new job. They may go in a different direction. They may try something else. They may get overwhelmed and want to take a break. They may be dabblers that do a little bit here and a little bit there, but they're never doing it full time. So everybody's journey in life and the things that they're doing are different. So we need to, even if people aren't churning out, especially in free communities, because they can just leave it there, then we want to make sure that we're bringing in new blood, new energy, so that the people that are still being active from your old community don't get bored. Because otherwise, if it's just getting a bit stale, then you're not going to want to visit it as much. You're just not going to come in as much. So I actually made this mistake a little bit myself, and now I'm having to go back and try and get more new blood coming in as we pick the new direction. I've been working on other stuff, but now it's 100% focus on bringing in new blood into the community. But it's really important that you have a system. I prefer YouTube. That's what we use to bring targeted people into the community. I find the quality of the people that come in is just much better, and they tend to know you and like you. So it's a warmer type of traffic coming into even a free community. But you want to make sure that you've got a continuous supply coming in, so that you've at least got new blood coming in, so that if you do promotions or you're trying to elevate people, then there's always going to be people that are potentially going to become clients. So especially from the client point of view, not even from the community point of view, if you don't have new leads coming in, then obviously you're not going to be able to make new sales. You can't keep selling to the same people over and over. That's like trying to squeeze the juice out of an orange that's completely bone dry. So you have to keep giving value, but you have to keep bringing new people in. So you need a system of some kind that's going to allow you to bring fresh new people in almost daily. In fact, daily for sure. And then number 4 is that people try to scale and automate too early. I see everybody do this, myself included. We are all so guilty of trying to automate things too soon. And the reason for this is because we want more money and we want to be able to scale, but also we don't want to work every hour under the sun. We're all chasing the dream of remote working and working a few hours per day and having complete freedom. And that's great. But in my experience of actually making passive income online, there's an order of things that you have to go through. So you have to create that system first, and you have to then test it and make sure that it's ready to be scaled. And what most people do is that they try to jump straight to sort of group training and so on. Whereas maybe you don't have enough proof, and therefore you need to get the results. So you're really going to struggle to make sales if you don't have the proof and the results yet. It's the chicken and the egg part. So you can't scale something and automate something that isn't tested and proven. There's no point in recording a course if you haven't got people results yet. You might as well work with them one-on-one. So that is really the first step that we have to do. And I also see that people don't run enough calls. You're not running enough group calls. And I'm going back to doing more and more group calls now that the focus back on to our new program. But I've noticed that when I was doing more calls in the past, everything was more active and people were more engaged. So it really comes back to where your focus goes, your energy flows. So enough calls. You need to make sure that you're doing enough calls. You're having enough conversations in the community. That could be in the DMs. That could be on calls. That could be in the comments. You really want to be getting involved in your group. You want to be the member that you want to have in your community. If you're not showing up and showing interest in your community, if you're not interested in talking to people and getting involved, then why should they show up and get involved? So you really need to be reaching out to people and doing the unscalable first. So you hear me saying this a lot. You hear other people probably saying the same thing. And it is the way things are now, with trust being at an all-time low out there. The unscalable, especially with the community model, is really where it's at. If you can do more human touch points, and you can hold off from automating for longer, because even if you've then got a little bit of proof, it can be tempting to jump straight into trying to scale. But unless you've got the volume coming through the system, it may not be financially worth it for you either quite yet. So you're better off pushing through, getting a lot more proof, a lot more people coming through the system, testing the product, testing the program, making sure that it's working, and then start to see if you can scale. But do not scale the untested. And something I always recommend to people is that you start messy. Start messy and be okay with it. So start messy, take money where you can, just have an offer, get people into the community, have a system in place, but don't rush to build anything. Just try to get as many sales as possible. Try to work with people one-on-one, see what their main problems are, and then start to automate and move on from there. So there you have it. Those are some of the main reasons that I see Skool communities failing. Now, if you would like help with your community business and growing it with YouTube, then I'll link to our free group in the video description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.